All of you, welcome back once again. In this video, we'll try to understand the supply chain management project we have built on our channel. Many of you have asked me that is this project still relevant because recently there is an update in the Node version, and due to that some of you are facing the problem with hard hat. So in this video, I'll show you both the way that how you can execute this entire project in your local environment. So how you can deploy the contract to the test network and simply build this. This one is absolutely one of the project which you have to include in your portfolio. So I hope you guys have watched the complete project. This project is quite huge, so I would suggest you to follow the complete project. Make sure to unzip that, and in that you will have the entire source code of the project. So make sure to open this folder in the VS Code. So I have opened this one. Let me expand this one and let me give you a quick walkthrough. We have this component. Inside that we have the CSV icons and all of the component we have coded together. We have simply importing and exporting from here. So all of this component we have built together in the project. Then we have the context. In that we have this tracking. There you will find all the code we have written in the project. Then we have the contract. Inside that, this is the huge contract we have written for our supply chain management. So you can simply check that. Then we have the images. This is the node modules. I'm going to simply delete and I'm going to reinstall in front of you so you can see everything is working fine. So in that we have this app.js. And we have the index where we have done all the configuration of our component. Close that one. Then we have the public. Then we have the script. So this is the deploy script which we're going to use for deploying our contract. So we're going to deploy our contract in two different parts. So we're going to deploy on Polygon MOI network and we're going to deploy to the localhost. So first we'll start with localhost, then we'll start with the Polygon test network. And this is a starter file which is given in the GitHub, so you can simply download and start following the complete project. This is the style. In that we have the entire CSS configuration we have done for the Tailwind, which I have already explained. And here we have the hard hat config file. So first we're going to test using hard hat in a local environment. Then we're going to simply deploy to Polygon test network. So here you have to provide your wallet private key, which I will show you. And then we have this package.json file. You will see all the latest packages we are using, which is 100% working fine. So we have this Nomic foundation. We are using this autofixer Tailwind configuration. So simply close this one. Now the very first thing you have to do when you will get the final source code, you have to check your node version. And even you are following the tutorial, you have to check your node version because this packages which we have utilized, including the hard hat and the Nomic foundation, is compatible with a specific node version, not the latest one. So if you have the latest version of node, it's not going to work. You can simply watch this video. In that I have explained that how you can downgrade the node version. So you can check that. So first you have to check your node version. Type node-v and this is the node version I'm using. Same thing for the npm. Type npm-v and this is the npm version I'm using. And if you are using hard hat in your project, then only you have to configure and use the exact node version because hard hat is compatible with this one. But if you don't want to use hard hat, you can use remix id for deploying and creating the API of the contract. In that scenario, you can simply remove the hard hat packages. You can remove this one or you can remove the hard hat, and you're going to simply copy the ABI and the address of the contract from remix id, and that's what you can provide here in the context.js. There is the address which you have to provide, and you have to simply copy the ABI, and that's what you have to provide here. So it's in the tracking.js context, and there we're going to simply drag and drag the ABI. So that's what you have to do. So simply close this one. So this is the first thing you have to do. Now let's start the application. So first we have to install the packages. Simply type npm I, and this is going to install all of the packages we have defined in the package.json file. So this process will take a little bit time. You can see we are getting this depreciated. Don't need to worry about it because there is a latest version available, but we are using with the old version, and this one is well compatible. So it's got successfully installed. You don't need to run this particular command because when you will run this force command, is going to update all the packages, and then you're going to have a problem. So simply clear your terminal once you install successfully. So once we install all of the packages successfully, now we have to do the changes in our hard hat config file because first we're going to test in our local environment using hard hat, then we're going to go to the Polygon test network. So come back here and you have to bring this down. So first thing you have to comment this and you have to comment this because we are not using test network Polygon. So this is the changes you have to do, but later when we're going to use Polygon, we're going to simply bring it back. Split your terminal and type npx hard hat node. This will start the local node hard hat, and it will give you 20 plus accounts which you can use to test your contract. So each account will have 10,000 ether, and by default when you will deploy your contract, hard hat will take the very first account as an owner of the contract. If you want to import this account, all you have to do is to simply copy the private key and import in your MetaMask, which I will show you. So make sure you have to keep running this. So this is the first thing. You have to start your local node. After that, you have to deploy this script. So come back to the script. Here we have the option for test and local. So simply copy this one because we are testing locally and paste here and hit enter. This will deploy our contract, and you can see our contract compiled successfully, and here we got the artifact folder. Inside that you will have the ABI of the contract. So simply drag and drop here in the context, move, and this ABI we need to interact with our contract. So we got our ABI, we got our address. So when you will deploy your contract, Hardhead will use this particular account and it will always generate this particular address for your very first contract. For example, you have multiple contracts. So the very first contract will deploy and it will give you the same address. The other contract will deploy, it will give you the different address. So if you run the exact command and follow this tutorial, you will find that this is the Hardhead address will generate in your end as well. So simply copy this one, and that's what we have to come. Simply close this one, and close this one. Come back here in the tracking context, and here we have this one. So I'll simply paste here. This is the address, we got it. So this is the first thing you have to do. Now, before we start our application, we have to do a little bit configuration in our network. So I'm going to simply close this one, and I can take you back here in the tracking. And here I have defined all the network. You can literally connect with any network. So right now we are testing localhost. So simply copy this one, and that's what you have to provide here. So here we have this particular function called handle network switch. So simply come here, and that's what you have to provide. If you have deployed your contract to Polygon, Mainnet, Ethereum Mainnet, Binance, I have already done all the configuration. So this is the exact information will added automatically in the MetaMask. So you don't need to copy paste and add the Explorer, RPC endpoint, symbol. That will automatically configure, because this is the advanced feature we have included, which you will find in most of the application. So simply copy this localhost, and that's what you have to provide. So before we actually run the application, I want you to show you. So come back to the browser and open a MetaMask, and right now you can see that I have already configured localhost in my MetaMask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it, and I would suggest you to delete the localhost from your MetaMask. So right now MetaMask is not available, and if I want to add it manually, I have to click on this add network, then it will take me here, click on this add manually, then I have to provide this all manually, which is a lot of tasks and it's not a good user experience. So we have already configured here, and it will automatically going to fill out all these details in our MetaMask. So we're going to simply make it. So now we have to simply start our application. So we have said that we want to connect with the localhost. So I'm going to simply type npm run dev, hit enter. It's going to start the application on localhost 3000. It will generate this next, which you don't need to worry about it. Now you can come back to the application, open a new tab and click on this localhost 3000. I have saved here, and you can see it will automatically open the MetaMask, and it will tell you to configure, and it will add all of this detail in the MetaMask. Simply click on the approve, and now once we approve, we have to switch to localhost, and here we have connected with the localhost. You can see, you can come back here, and right now this is my real account 1 and account 2, which is the real account which I have created with the MetaMask, and here I have all the account which I have imported from Hardhead. So this is the account by default Hardhead will pick. So if I come back and show you in my terminal, so this is the account 2266, and by default Hardhead will use the same account to deploy a contract. So that's why you can see it has some less fund, but if I go to my other accounts like this one, it has full fund. So if you want to import the account, all you have to do is to simply copy the address, open up, click here, go back to accounts, import, and paste here and import. I have already done the import, that's why it's not adding. So this is how you can import. So I'll come back to account number 3. This is the first account of Hardhead which he used by deploying the contract. So I'm going to simply clear the history, because this is the problem we have in MetaMask. So whenever you switch your account, or whenever you create your very first tracking data, make sure you have to clear your history, so the transaction will not fail. So this is the first thing you have to do. Now we are connected successfully. If I simply log out from the MetaMask, you will find that it will open the model and it will allow us to connect. So that, boom, we are connected. Now we can able to create our first tracking. So click on this, and here we have to provide the address of the recipient. So I can come back to my code, and I'm going to take the address. This is the account number 2, which I have imported in my MetaMask as account 4. So I'm going to simply copy the address, because once the tracking will complete, the fund will be transferred to this particular address. So I'll provide this recipient, so like the date, so 25, the distance I can provide is 44, and the price I want to say 100 for this particular shipment, because we are testing locally and we have a lot of fun to make the transaction. So click on this create shipment, and it's going to open the MetaMask. Click on this confirm, and here the transaction completed, and you can see right now it's in the pending state and the shipment is not started. So now we have to simply start the shipment. So let's create one more. Same, I'm going to take the same receiver. You can create multiple receiver, there is no problem. At 23, and this time I'm going to say 45. Create, and here we have confirm. That's all we have. Now create one more time. Let's create one more. This for 21. This is 112. I'm going to charge 45. Let's say not 45. I can charge 47. A different amount. So here we have confirm. So here we have created 3 shipment. Now I have to initialize the shipment. So this is the first shipment we have. So I can come back to the start shipment, and here I have to provide the recipient address, and that's the double confirmation we are doing, because this fund will be transferred. So this is the exact thing you have to implement when you are building supply chain management. You always confirm the address by the user again and again. So I'm going to paste the address, and the first shipment has the ID 0, and I can click on this get details. Click on this, it's going to open the MetaMask, or you can change it to start shipment. So I'm going to change this button name. Click on confirm, and finally the shipment is completed, and here you can see the status is changed to in transmit. This data takes a little bit time to change in the state, because that's the waiting period we have included. So this data will not quickly change. You have to wait for a couple of seconds, and then you have to check. So it's in the transmit. If you want to get the details about this shipment, so you can simply click on this get shipment and paste the ID. So we have the 0 ID. Click on this detail, and here you will find all the details about this shipment, and you can simply able to complete. So if you want to complete the shipment, you can simply call this one recipient address, and you have to give the ID and call this change status. It will open the MetaMask. It's going to call this particular contract function, and we have to click on the confirm, and the transaction is completed. You will see here it's delivery time, and you will see the fund is also changed. So the fund is transferred from account number 3 to account number 4. So if I come back to the account number 4, you will see it has 100 transfer successfully. So I can come back here, make sure to clear my MetaMask history, because I have changed the account. So the fund is transferred successfully. I can do the same thing with this one. So it's in the pending. So I have to simply start the shipment, and I can simply give the ID. So ID is 2, and click on this. It's going to open the MetaMask, and I have to simply confirm the transaction. So the transaction is complete, and here is change the status. You can change, and you can complete. You can able to simply get the details of the first shipment. You can even get the details of the second shipment, or you can get the detail of the third shipment. That's all will reflect here. Now I have to simply call this one is the get one, and here we have the complete one. So I can simply provide the recipient address, and I can give the ID. So ID is going to be 2. Click on change status, and it is going to open the MetaMask. It's going to confirm the transaction, and the transaction happened, and you will see the time log, and the fund is transferred successfully. You can click on this user profile. There you will find the details. I hope you have understood that how you can test locally. Again, I would encourage you to follow the complete project for having a better understanding that what logic we have implemented in our smart contract. So that will teach you a lot of things. So this is how you can test using Hardhat. Now let me show you how you can test using and deploying on the test network. So simply close all of that. Now we're going to simply deploy to the test network. So open up your terminal, and we are here. Now we have to do a few changes. So come back here, and first thing we have to do the changes in the network. So this time we're not using localhost, we are using Polygon test. Simply copy this one, and that's what we can simply provide here. So this is the first thing we have to do. Now the second thing we have to do is come back in the Hardhat config file, and here we have to provide our private key, and you have to simply activate this. So activate this one, and you have to activate this one, because we're going to deploy to the test network, and you have to simply comment this. That looks fine. So this is the thing you have to do. Once you're done with that, now we have to get our private key. So come back, open a new tab. I'll come here, click on this MetaMask.
And you can see that if I switch my network to Polygon test network, I already have this much fund. So if I come back to account number 1 and account number 2 is my real account, not harded account, so I can use this account, and you can't use the harded account for deploying on the test network. So like we have imported all of this harded account 3, 4, 5 and 6. You cannot use this account for deploying on the Polygon test network, so you have to use these accounts. So I'm going to use my first account, and I already have this much fund. In your case, if you don't have this fund, you have to have at least some fund which you can use to deploy your contract. To get it for absolutely free, come back here, type Polygon Faucet. You will come back here, click on the very first link, it will take you here, and here you can able to connect with the Discord and join their Discord community. After that, you can able to claim the 2 faucet for Maticoin. So you can see it give you this particular option. Click on this, it will take you to Discord server. So first you have to authorize, then you have to simply submit. I have already joined it, so it's going to redirect me right up here, and I will have the option to claim the token. So I will switch the network. I have to get the account address where I want to transfer the funds. So I'm going to use this one. I'll paste here, and I click on the submit. Maybe the transaction will fail because I have already done in the morning, and that's the fund you can see in my MetaMask. So the transaction is in the process. The transaction is in the process. I have already done the transaction in the morning. That's why I guess it will fail, because you cannot claim twice in 24 hours. And if you have more than one Mati, then you cannot able to claim. This is the condition they have applied. So I'm going to simply reload the page. So once you will claim the token successfully, the fund will reflect. In my case, I already have it. So once you have the fund, now you have to get the private key of the account which you want to use it. So I'm going to click here, and I have to simply come back in the account details, show private key. Let me give my MetaMask password, and click on press hold, and here we have. I'm going to simply copy this ma. Make sure you have to copy. Now you have to come back here, and that's what you have to provide here. That's what you have to provide. And if you are testing your contract on different blockchains, then make sure you have to replace the RPC endpoint, and you have to change the network from here. So to get the RPC endpoint, you can come back here in this particular website, type RPCN, click on the very first link, and here you will find all the blockchain right now we do have. So we have Polygon, Binance, Ethereum, Arbitrum. So you can simply click on that. So if you want to deploy on the Binance, click here, and there you will find this test network, and you can simply get the RPC endpoint. The same thing with the Ethereum. Click here. Here we have the test network. We have multiple one, Husky, Sofali. So you can simply select, and you can provide here, provide right up here. And that's the same thing you have to provide here in the harded config file. Here we have this RPC, change it in that particular network. So this is the configuration you have to do. So I have successfully pasted my private key here. Make sure you have to paste it, and don't share your private key with anyone else, otherwise your fund will be taken out. So once you paste that, save it and close this one. Now we have to come back here in the script folder, and here we have to run this particular command, this one, because we are deploying to the Polygon. If you deploy to any other network, that's the exact configuration you have to do, and whatever name you have given, that's the name you have to give here. Okay, so I have called this Polygon MOI, and that's what I'm calling in my endpoint. So simply copy this one, and that's what you have to paste here. Before we run this command, I have to simply declare my old data, because this time we are interacting with the actual test network. Let's come back in the context. Here we have the ABI, and I'm going to delete this as well. It will work absolutely fine when if you go with the old ABI, because as long as you not make any changes in the contract, you can keep it as it is. But if you make any changes, even a single symbol you remove or rename anything, you have to provide the upgrade ABI. So when we'll deploy the contract, it's going to generate the artifact, and that you will have the ABI. So all you have to do is to simply hit enter, and this time we don't need to run the hardhat, because we are not using hardhat, we are using different network. We are using actual test network. Hit enter, and it's going to compile the contract. Here it's compiled, and it will generate you the artifact. Inside that you will have the ABI. So simply drag and drop here. So that's the first thing you have to do. And this time we are deploying to the actual test network, so it's taking a little bit time. Here we have deployed successfully, and we got the address. Simply copy, and you can able to verify this transaction on the actual test network. So if I copy this one, and if I come back here, type poly MOI Explorer, and click on this, and you can simply paste the address here and hit enter. you can able to verify the transaction which you have done just now. So the contract is also deployed, or you can go to the polyscan. There is no problem. You can explore in any explorers, or you can click here. You can come back to the MOI testnet, and here you have to simply provide the address and hit enter. You will find the transaction you have done just now. So our contract is deployed successfully. So that's the first thing. Once your contract is deployed, simply copy the address, come back here in the context, and here you have to replace. So I'm going to simply replicate this, and I'll say this one to be hard address, and this will be our polygon address. So I'm going to simply comment this, and I'm going to simply provide it here. So that's what you have to do. Once you're done with that, now you are ready to test our application. So before I start the application, I can show you one more thing. So I can come back here, and I'm going to delete the polygon test network. So you can see I have already configured it, but I want to remove that. In your case, if you don't have that network, it will automatically configure. So I'll come back here, and I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to simply reload the page. So we have deleted the network from there. Now I'm going to simply close this one, and here we have. Now I can simply start the application. Type npm run dev. It will start the application on localhost 3000. Come back here and reload the page. Now you can see it will automatically open the MetaMask, and it will automatically configure the network. So click on this approve switch network. So right now we are interacting with the actual test network. You can do the same thing. You can simply log out. If you log out and open up, it will open this one, pass the password, and here we have connected successfully. Now before you make the transaction, make sure to clear your MetaMask history, because sometimes the transaction failed because of the previous history you have in your MetaMask. So whenever you switch your account or change your account, you have to clear your MetaMask history and reload the page. Now we are ready to create our first campaign. So click on this and come back here. I'm going to take this account number 2. I'm going to simply copy this one, because when the fund will be transferred here. So I'm going to simply copy this and come back here in the account 1, clear my MetaMask history, advance, reload the page. Now I can click on this add, give the address. I'm going to paste the address here as well, so it not get lost. I can come back here, give this one. This is going to be 45, and supply money I want to charge very less because I don't have much, and click on this create shipment. It's going to open the MetaMask, and we can able to interact with the actual test network. So this much fund we are paying. Click on confirm, and the transaction is in the pending state. You can see it's in the pending state. Once it will complete, it will register our transaction in our smart contract on the blockchain, and the fund will also be keep inside the contract. So when the transaction will complete, the shipment will complete, it will transfer the fund to the recipient address, and the transaction is completed. If you come back here it's in the pending state. Now we have to activate the shipment. So click on the shipment, give the recipient address, and ID is going to be 0. Click on get details, and now you have to simply confirm the transaction, and here the transaction is confirmed. So let's come back here. See, the transaction is failed. Anyway, not a big deal. So simply clear my MetaMask history, because sometimes it's happened, so you should always check. Clear, and you can see actually this transaction was went through. And this is the weird problem we have in the MetaMask. Sometimes the transaction get completed, but MetaMask failed to pick that transaction. That's why the status was failed, but the transaction was actually succeeded. You can even check here. So if you type this, you can able to check the details. You can see we got this detail. Status is changed to 1. So we have multiple status pending, in transmit, deliver. So that's all we have explained in the contract. So if I show you, if you come back to the contract, that's everything is explained extensively here. So I would suggest you to follow the complete project. This will teach you a lot of things, because we have 3 different states we have taken. So again, I would tell you to follow the complete project. Now come back here. So this is the details. Now we have to simply start the shipment. So simply we have already started the shipment. Now I have to complete the shipment. So I'll come back here, give the recipient address, and I have to give the ID. So click on this 0 and change status. It will open the MetaMask, and I have to complete the transaction, and the fund will be transferred to the user, the recipient. Confirm. You can able to see the transaction is in pending state, and the transaction will complete, and you can able to see the status change. So whenever you perform any transaction, make sure to verify the transaction hash on the test network, actual test network, and the transaction is complete. If you can come back here, you can see the product is delivered, and the fund is also transferred from the wallet address to this particular user address. Transfer successfully. So this is how you can deploy on using hard hat and how you can deploy to Polygon MOI. So this is the latest configuration I have done. I hope you guys have liked it, and I would suggest you to follow the complete project, because this is a very important project to bring it into the real world. This will help you a lot to understand that how you can bring different business model on the blockchain, and you can target any industry. So that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Hope you guys have understood that how you can update all the network and how you can perform using the hard hat. And you can do exactly the same thing. If you don't want to use hard hat, you can simply remove the packages. You can remove the packages, like you can remove this hard hat, and you can remove this hard hat. Then you can simply delete this node module and reinstall everything. Once you're done with that, after that, you need to also remove all the hard hat files. So you can remove this one, test, script, and you can also remove the, no, that's the thing only you have to remove, script, test, and hard hat config file, and the packages from here. If you don't want to use the hard hat and you want to use the latest node version, and you can simply use remix ID to deploy the contract. I hope you know how to do that. Once you deploy, you can simply paste your address here. You can paste your address here, and so simply copy the ABI from the remix ID, and that's what you can simply paste here. I remove this ABI, or as long as you keep the same contract, don't make any changes, you can use the exact ABI. There is no problem, because this is what you will get in the final source code. So I hope you guys have understood. If you have any question, any doubt, do let me in the comment section, and make sure to simply come here and download the starter file and start following this complete project. I'm going to attach this particular video right up here, so in case if you take the final source code, you can simply watch it and do the exact setup. But I would encourage you to follow the complete project. With that, I'm ending this video. If you have any question, any doubt, let me in the comment section. I'll definitely try to help you in that. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.